Good afternoon, Dr. Webb. Both of the articles for the Reflect and Connect both discuss programming and both discuss like playing different types of music with your students, but they were both discussed in different ways. One of the things that as a teacher you should do for your students is I don't know if I'd say responsible, but you should be trying to get different types of music, let the different students be able to play from different cultures, and be able to, well, since you're the more knowledgeable peer, you should then teach them about these cultures and let them play versus having just one kind of music or just playing these classical different kind of things. You want to be able to give them more world music instead of just using orchestra as just the classical white male composer from Europe. They have more to gain in playing these different kinds of musics and playing things such as like world music or things like that. It does discuss that there are some issues with authenticity in trying to play these musics. There are people that will both, like publishers could then make these musics, have these titles, especially for, grade level, like school level works. They could then just be using these titles and not truly being authentic to the music that it's claiming. That is something that does have to get looked at by the teacher, and they should make sure of that. Another thing it discusses is like knowing the thematic material and making sure that just the title isn't actually like what the culture is. It's not just the title that says like Chinese folk songs for strings, that it's actually getting text, or getting not text, but getting music that was actually from like thematic material that was used by these like Chinese folk songs. Another thing discussed in the Kajeland article is it talks about having this integrity in your orchestra, and talks about over-programming a lot. There's a lot of reasons why over-programming isn't a great thing. Over-programming would be when the orchestra repertoire goes beyond the capabilities of the players in the group, and they're unable to play it for a concert. This could be for many reasons why they can't play it for the concert. For example, they could just have too much. Like, if you give your students too much to work on and not focus on, like, a few pieces, this is going to be over-programmed because there's too much material for them to learn. Another thing is just picking music that's outside of the student's skill group. Not skill, but their skill range. So, even though it might seem impressive to the parents, but they're playing, what I went over is Beethoven, Mendelssohn, Bartok, Shostakovich, all in one piece, the family might give a standing ovation, or parents, and they might think, wow, look how good of music my students are playing, or my children are playing. But the number one thing is having your students sound good. And it goes on how you can, as a teacher, the teachers then use the excuse of, oh, they're playing such hard music, that's why it doesn't sound great. But if they don't sound great because of their music, then instead of just making the excuse they don't sound great because of music, the teacher should instead be giving them music that they're able to play. Potentially maybe having one hard piece. I know we've gone over this. Have one piece that's outside of the ZPD that they need to work a lot on, and then have another piece that's an easier piece, like a really easy piece for them. They can maybe use as a warm-up piece they can play pretty quickly, a more fun piece that they really enjoy, and then a piece that's right in the ZPD they're going to work to get to, but it's not going to be something that's you're going to have to spend almost every rehearsal on. So another thing that about the over-programming that isn't great is this also, the students will potentially learn less, or like this might discourage students from like being able to play if they know they can't play it. Another thing is like inflated concepts of how well they're playing. Like they know the music that their or group is playing, so they might think they're significantly better than how they're actually sounding because of the music they're playing, not because of how they're playing the music. It also goes over like, so you have to know the type of ensemble you have before you pick the music. And again, the goal is for everything to sound good for your ensembles. So you, as a teacher, also need to know when you have to pull a piece if you don't think it's doable. You can't just keep playing a piece even though it's like too difficult for the students. So having the knowledge of when to take away pieces or when to not is something that's very important, because as a teacher, you are the one who is going to be responsible for the music they play, and you want to set them up to succeed.